there are fast food places in our great wealthy nation of ours selling burgers for $5, where you can't get organic or well-produced bread alone for $5.
Hello, namaste, Zarna Garg here. So excited to have you for the Zarna Garg family podcast. And we're so excited because all 5 Gargs are in the house and we're shooting this episode live together we very rarely get to do it. I was going to say the first time. It's not the first time, but it's very rare. So excited to have my husband, Shalab, husband of 25 years, Wall Street professional. My daughter, Zoya, who's finishing college next year. My son, Bridge, who is starting college this fall, and my middle schooler, Veer Garg. We are so excited to have you guys. And today's topic is a hot button. It's a topic that all 5 Gargs disagree on. We have real issues with this topic. It is about being vegetarian or not being vegetarian. Vegetarianism is such a thing in our family because I'm vegetarian and I've always been vegetarian my whole life. I grew up in a family that never touched meat, that never even touched or ate eggs. In most of my life, in my family and my siblings' families, eggs aren't even allowed in the house. Only fruits, vegetables, grains, extremely vegetarian food and eating habits. And then suddenly I married a man who ate everything, and then I have 3 kids to raise in America who are not only exposed to everything, but they're athletes and the protein is an issue and they want to eat all kinds of things. And it has been a crisis ever since ever. And now let's get right into it.
Just to amend one point, I grew up in a vegetarian household too.
Right.
So my parents, my brother and I, and growing up with my parents, are pure vegetarians, including no egg.
Right.
We belong to this Hindu caste, as you know, and Hindus don't eat meat. And it was a very, very vegetarian household. My first experience...
Red meat.
What?
Right? They don't eat red meat.
No, but he didn't grow up eating chicken.
I didn't eat chicken, fish, eggs,
But people
anything.
in India eat chicken though.
Yeah. So chicken and fishes and goat and all that people do eat, but meat is, or red meat or cow meat is completely forbidden. But I grew up not eating any meat. It was really at, I think, late teens when I was doing an internship in Europe, living at a farmer's house as a guest, that he and his wife invited me for a meal. And they didn't speak a word of English. I didn't speak a word of Swiss German. So it was very hard to communicate. I knew that this was not looking like vegetarian food, but I didn't want to offend them. But he was a dairy farmer, so he literally butchered the meat in his own farm and prepared it.
God.
So it was the highest quality form of meat that I ever had as my first experience of eating meat. And once I had it, it was very seductive and I couldn't stop doing it.
You liked it?
I really liked it.
There wasn't a part of you that was like repulsed by it?
I was not repulsed by it.
Why would you be repulsed by it?
It
I
was
can't eat meat. Like,
Why?
you could give me the most expensive red meat, white meat, whatever meat. I don't want to eat
Why?
it.
He hasn't grown up
Because
eating
it's
it.
not food to me.
What do you mean it's not food? But it wasn't food to him either.
That's what I'm saying. It's odd that
But
he liked it.
the old couple was, their children and grandchildren had left. They were living in the house by themselves. They were very affectionate, very loving, and I just couldn't say no, and I end up tasting it. But once I did taste it, and just to transcend that experience over, that's the same experience that my 11-year-old Bridge had. That's the same experience that my...
No, I never had a struggle eating. I started...
Okay. But Bridge would, for example,
really
growing
did
up,
not
would have
like
so much trouble with food. Remember?
Yeah.
So hard to feed him. And then one fine day I was barbecuing or grilling steak and I had him eat a little bit and he just would not stop.
Yeah.
So there is something about red meat that just seduces you.
It's extremely good. That's what it is. It's
extremely
just
tasty.
extremely tasty.
And it's come to a point where, to Zarna's point, she's right. The 4 of us, that is me and the 3 kids, Zoya goes on and off in meat, but more out of choice the last few years. But the 4 of us can finish a lot of meat in a sitting.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's very filling. The vegetarian food
It's
doesn't fill me
extremely
up. I
filling.
just don't know what to do.
I do think the vegetarian food is not filling, and there is a truth to that. And probably might be, and again, hot take, might be a reason why we are a country that's leading the world in all kinds of diseases.
Totally. I agree.
Because
Mom.
it's like you end up overeating because nothing fills
you. No, I agree. I think it's interesting because I think I have always wanted to go vegan. I grew up eating meat. I loved red meat, all those things. And then I started practicing yoga when I was 16, very, very seriously. And all my yoga instructor friends were vegetarian and they didn't drink regular milk. And it was very like, they fit every stereotype. So I started fitting those stereotypes. I don't drink dairy milk. I, cut back on as much meat as I possibly can. And throughout the past 5-6 years, I've been struggling so much because some months I'll go without red meat because, as Dad said, I believe red meat is very, very seductive, right? If you're given an option of red meat, chicken, fish, tofu, but you're already eating red meat and you haven't committed to not eating it, your body will tell you, I want the red meat. Why would you pick the fish, which is bland and honestly does not taste as good? Anybody that's telling you that the salmon is better than the ribs and the steak is lying to themselves. They just is. I lie to myself all the time because the fish is better for you. It just is.
A lot of people like the chicken too, but
People
But
like
what
the
about
chicken.
Chicken
tofu.
in itself has no taste.
Chicken does not have taste. People
I disagree with that. I think chicken has a lot of taste.
listen, chicken is fine, but I've been struggling with this for a long time, and I've come to the conclusion that in order to lead a vegan diet, you probably have to be really wealthy and you have to have a lot of time on your hands. Because in order to have really well prepared chickpeas and all those ingredients, beans, unless you're eating the exact same 3 things a day, which I commend anybody for doing who can do it, you're probably a really wealthy person. So for example, like Mark Cuban has gone on a few rants on Shark Tank recently about how he went vegan. It makes sense that he can go vegan now. Like that's a resource that he has access to, and it's a longevity hack, right? He's now prioritizing getting as much time back as he possibly can. So I don't know. I have a very complicated relationship with it.
And in addition to having money, you also better not have a traveling job. I'll tell you that. Because on the road, there ain't no vegan options. And I know people are going to attack me in the comments, be like, well, you can take mung beans with you. You can't. Like, I travel all the time, 4 days, 4 nights of the week. I'm not home because I'm in big towns, small towns. And literally the only thing available is a slice of pizza or a bagel or one of these cheap breads that I know is not good for me. But I just don't have access. I just don't.
Yeah, this access thing is there are fast food places in our great wealthy nation of ours selling burgers for $5, right? Where you can't get organic or well-produced bread alone for $5, right? So, it is a tragedy that, despite having all the money in the world as a country, we feed our population food that's not food. But that's not the topic of this conversation. I'm saying that if you can afford to eat real food and real steak, it is very filling. And for someone like me who eats once a day, it is impossible otherwise. I can't do this episode is not about intermittent fasting, but just the fact that if I'm trying to control the amount of food that I eat, in my eating hours or my eating window, if I have like a lean meat, right, that keeps me going the whole next day. But in that eating window, if God forbid I have a pizza with vegetables, or God forbid I have, some version of vegetarian food, basically my next day is shot.
And that's true even as college students, right? Like when you go to college, you don't, especially when you're a freshman and maybe you're not cooking your own food or you're not eating out. I'm no longer on the meal plan, so I control what I eat, and I love it personally. It's been very good for me. But when Bridge is going to be a freshman at Cornell next year, he is going to have access to a lot of different foods. They have great food courts. I don't want to say anything other than that. But if he wants to eat protein, the protein options in college, American colleges, is usually meat. It really is.
Yeah.
And then there's maybe beans, and there's maybe a little bit of tofu. But my vegetarian friends have really struggled in college eating well because their options are very limited. Mom says that when she goes to India, it's like a field day for her.
Yeah.
The culture supplies protein in vegetables because that is what the culture is. And Didn't you say that's
They're
true?
set up for it.
Yeah.
Of course.
But even so, they destroy the vegetables by lacing it with cream. And
the whole thing is beaten to death. There's no vegetable left. The eggplant bharta, which is a very popular Indian dish, like literally you beat the shit out of that eggplant. There's nothing vegetable left about, and it's doused in oil and ghee and whatever. But Bridge eats eggs every day.
Yeah.
I eat egg every
I
day.
I
love
eat an
egg.
egg every day too.
Yeah, you guys.
I love eggs. I think that, okay, for me, I'm very much like the opposite of a vegetarian. I love eating meat. I don't think that there's any reason to choose a vegetarian lifestyle outside of the reason of just wanting to feel clean about your body. Because there's some times where I'll eat meat and I'll think, oh my God, like my body hurts, and I know it's because of the meat.
Well, what does that mean? I don't.
That's
Like
not-
sometimes I'll eat meat and I'll get fatigued. Like I'll be like, oh my God, I just ate so much steak, or I just ate so much this. Like I can't like go out and like do a workout now. Like like every time I eat a vegetarian meal, after that I always feel like I can run, I can like do, I can
Yes,
exercise.
I feel the same way.
It's easy to, it cleans your body, so it makes it really easy for you to exercise. Which is why before, like I do track, so before meats and stuff, you have to be very cautious of what you're eating to make sure you can run as fast as possible. You are not supposed to eat any meat like right before.
What do
the
you
race.
eat then?
You eat either carbs like
No,
pasta.
but what do you personally eat?
I try and eat like greens, like fruit, vegetables, like
Edamame.
broccoli. I love eating edamame is my like secret weapon. I love eating edamame. It has so much protein and it's actually really healthy for you. And I love eating broccoli before meats because all of that doesn't weigh you down. You don't feel it. It doesn't make you need to use a bathroom, but it gives you protein. Edamame gives you a lot of protein and it just makes you feel clean when you're running the race. And this is the main point I wanted to make during this episode, is that the people who think that if you're eating vegetarian food, you're saving the animals, couldn't be more incorrect in my opinion. It is not a valid argument to say that because you are not eating steak, you are saving the cows for multiple reasons. And I did a lot of research on this, which is why this is such an interesting topic to me. Because I always wondered like why, like what specifically leads you to that conclusion. First of all, cows aren't meant to live for that long. Like they can, like however they were made, they are allowed to, but they release so many gases that if they were to live for a while, they would end up actually dying on their own soon after the butchering anyways. Because their bodies contain
Are you sure
so much,
about that?
yes, because their bodies contain so much gases. It's the reason why they contribute to
But
destroying
then
the
we as
ozone layer.
Americans also, from what I understand, are factory farming these cows and
Yeah.
producing them. Half the reason our emissions are so high is because Americans have such a high diet in meat. To meet the demand, because again, we live in a consumerist economy, to meet the demand of the American diet, we are supplying cows at such a high rate and overbreeding them and thereby releasing so much. And so you're right, but you're also wrong because
That's definitely true.
if a vegetarian diet went in style and was a thing across America, then big business farmers and big businesses that make money off of these huge amounts of cows would then have to cut back because people wouldn't want it as much. So I think you're right.
I agree
also
with
think-
that. But there's also the second one which I wanted to make, which is that it's also insanely incorrect to say that if you're a vegetarian, you're saving the animals. Because every single crop that you eat as a vegetarian, corn, apples, pears, killed 1 million bugs. Just so you know,
bugs, okay.
Bugs are also
Bugs
animals.
are still animals.
They're still animals. To me, when I look, so I farmed over the summer, which is why I understand this more.
Oh.
When every single time we plucked out a crop or we had to grow, you killed everything. Every single bug that was in the strip of land. And I went to a small farm in New York City, so I can only imagine the big farms that are like acres and acres long.
Yeah.
You kill. It's incountable how many bugs you get. Every single time you scoop something, there's bugs there because they infest all the dirt. Then you have the fungi that some bugs are attracted to, and you pour chemicals on chemicals, especially for American products that make fruits and vegetables, because they don't even hand pluck anymore. They just use chemicals made by companies that are looking to make money.
So let's say
and
I want a
kill all
box
those
of
bugs.
strawberries.
That box of strawberries killed millions of bugs. Killed thousands of, probably not millions, thousands of bugs. Each strawberry killed at least 100 bugs. And I
that
know
also brings me to the point between food in America and elsewhere, right? I've
Yeah.
been to Europe, Mexico, different parts of the world, and it just feels different. The banana tastes
Yeah.
different, and orange tastes different.
Yeah.
Salad, lettuce, something simple like lettuce.
Oh my
tastes-
God, the fruit in London was horrible though.
But I'm just saying that overall, the quality of produce just feels way more
Very
like
different.
My
natural.
issue with vegetarianism is that eating protein as a vegetarian is so difficult. Like all the stuff that they eat has no protein in it. Like all those vegetables are good for you. They don't have any protein though. So as an athlete, it's a lot harder.
No, I do think that the protein is really, really challenging. And I think that the culture around protein has also made it difficult, right? College campuses, the protein is meat. Like at a food court, the protein is meat.
I mean, what
So-
in vegetarian food has protein? I don't even know.
Beans, lots of
And
yeah,
being a
It's just beans.
Mm.
being
That's
a
the thing.
vegetarian
Like,
is
it's just
so
beans.
expensive.
It's beans.
They're even
Tofu,
using beans to
tempeh.
substitute other products.
But you know
like
what?
chickpea pasta.
But
No,
yeah, okay,
nuts,
listen.
nuts, I'll tell you, nuts, beans, tofu, yogurt. There's like 4 or 5. But then there's
Yogurt
also
has dairy. Which
yeah, exactly. Then you've got people who will be like, nuts have too much fat. Dairy has too much fat. It's not good for you for other reasons. I don't know. Listen, clearly, I don't believe in vegetarianism. I taught you guys how to eat meat.
Yeah.
Even though I don't
And
eat
you've
it.
cooked meat at
I
some
learned
point.
how to cook from scratch. I did every YouTube tutorial on how to buy meat, how
and she
to
made
look
the
for
best of it without tasting
Without
it.
without
Yeah.
tasting it. I made
Another sacrifice that she made.
I learned how to cook and clean. I would buy the whole thing and cook and clean, from shrimp to lobster tail to chicken, even steak. I know how to make it. So I don't believe in vegetarianism, and there is a part of me that wishes I was not vegetarian.
In fact, you've tried.
I've tried to eat little pieces of fish and chicken. It just doesn't stick because I didn't grow up eating it. But it's a constant battle because your question is right. That what exactly protein sources are there? And now you watch that people get flamed in the comment section.
But I also want to say one thing. There's also, in America especially, an extreme stigma around like the cleanliness of your body and the protein you need. Everyone now thinks that you need to eat an insane amount of protein that your bodies actually just don't need to reach. You don't need to eat like a max amount of protein every single day to live a like healthy life. You don't need to have the most clean body every single day to live a healthy life. Like it's okay every once in a while to go to like a fast food restaurant and get that $5 burger. That's not going to kill you. And it's also an less expensive alternative. It's the same way that like you don't need to have steak every meal to get protein. You need to have chicken every meal to get protein.
I agree with you. I will say that I personally do eat probably like 120 grams of protein, or like some absurd amount of protein for a woman who's 5 feet tall every single day.
From
and
what?
I would say, I will explain to you. I eat, for example, I'm very similar to my dad in this way. If I like something, I could eat that thing every single day and not get bored of it. Like, I'm not one of those people who's searching for variety or anything like that. So, for example, I eat faje, Greek yogurt, 2% every single day with walnuts and dates. That's not considered vegetarian. It's definitely not, or it is vegetarian. It's not vegan. It's an animal product, but it has very little lactose, and that's been really great for me because that's 20 grams of protein straight away. I eat an insane amount of chicken with a salad probably for lunch every single day. And for dinner, then I probably eat, again, fish or chicken with some sort of side every single day. So I think that, Bridge, you're right, that you don't have to be eating protein. But I have to say that as somebody who lifts really consistently, like I have a lot of weight training in my weekly, like I probably do weight training 4 times a week. Like I have to eat protein so frequently. And if I don't, then I'm eating shit. I just end up eating things that are not worth it to me, things that don't add any nutritional value. If I don't eat 3 proper meals with an insane amount of either meat or the Greek yogurt. One thing I do is I do a lot of these substitutes. So for example, I eat a lot of the chickpea pasta. I eat a lot of the chickpea rice, the different substitutes. I try and be plant-based where I can, and I'm seeing it improve. I think we're seeing products really do a good job of improving
more
their
and more
protein.
products.
I tend to, as most of you know, that I eat once a day, and that ends up being a celebratory meal. So because it's a celebratory meal, I try to, get whatever highest quality food I can get. Like Zoya, I don't need to change it every day either. I'm happy to have the same thing again and again and again. I supplement it at the end of my eating window with a protein shake with a peanut butter in it that I pour. And that's helped me a lot too, the protein shake, especially the one made out of plant-based protein, so that it's sort of, because I've already had meat as part of my meal, so I supplemented with plant-based protein. I work out 2 or 3 times a week as well. So, I once you've broken your muscles, you have to build them back, and the only way to do it is through protein. I just don't see what
Hold on, Didi. I wanna push back on your point. So, what I was saying earlier is that being a vegetarian is super expensive, and that box of protein, Banza pasta, that's 2 times the price of a regular box of pasta. That's why it's also so difficult to be a vegetarian. Getting a box of organic strawberries is what, like $7?
Yeah.
It's absurdly priced.
And it's because of the shelf space, by the way. Like when you, again, going back to my farmer point, when you take a strawberry out or you take a piece of apple out of the ground, the time it'll live is like so short. Like an actual organic fruit or vegetable,
I didn't know that. Bro.
it's so much shorter. That's why everything's so processed, because then you could leave it on the shelf for a
Yeah.
little bit longer and you can sell it for a little bit less of a price. But when it's actually organic, most of
So
the
how
food
long
that
does
we-
an apple live out of a ground?
I don't
A
know about
week?
an apple because we didn't grow those,
Or
but
just
like
a typical
carrots and
fruit,
stuff,
yeah.
it would be like a day or a day and a half, and then it's
Wow,
done.
a day?
Day and a half.
Birds,
Or
that's
cucumbers, it would
wild.
just die. Like, and then there were certain fruits that wouldn't even make it out. Like, you'll take it out and it'll just be dead.
Well, that's the thing about living this European life is,
Yeah.
like, as Dad was saying, the produce is better because it's not being factory farmed. It's being farmed in many, people buy locally the way that Bridge
Yeah.
has described. But that's also feeding a fraction of the people that it's feeding in America. I also think Americans just eat
I
a
mean,
lot.
we are 5 times richer than any next country in the world. There
But
is no
the
reason.
culture is
I truly
different.
believe it's the food industry.
It's
and
the food industry.
you know, if for example, the government put their mind to it, they certainly have the resources to make.
Well, it's also
Options
an
available.
American way of living, right? Remember when we were new in America, we were shocked. We were like, there are fruits all year round, every fruit.
Yes.
Because that's not how you live in India. Like everything
You
is
only get the
seasonal.
It's not supposed to be like that.
Like in India,
that's not what it's
you
supposed
only
to
get
be.
mango in June and July. You only get oranges during certain.
But as Bridge is saying, it's not supposed to be like that.
It's
They
not
just-
supposed to be like. There's certain fruits that you cannot grow in season. I don't get how some fruits are made out of season, because you're not supposed to grow them when it's not that when it's the temperature is not right for them to be in their optimal conditions.
Bridge, I'm
I just
so
don't
happy
understand
that you're
how they
going to
do that.
study this.
I
as
know,
part of your-
right? I think
You
that
seem passionate about it. You're excited about it. You know about
Do you
it.
want to explain it a little bit?
So I'm going to college this fall, as
Woo!
she said in the beginning of the episode. One of the things I want to study or even major in potentially is food engineering or food science, which is basically like the nutritional facts behind the foods you eat and what makes a good food, organic food, unhealthy food, everything relating to food basically. So
But for more of a chemical,
from more of a chemical, like scientific explanation side.
not as a nutrition.
Not as a nutritionist. I just said that because like to talk about organic compounds, but like carbohydrates, like what actually goes into that, what creates the food, and then also a little bit of marketing of the food. But it's mainly just this chemical sciencey part of foods.
also, but that degree also fulfills the requirements for pre-med. Just saying. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not pushing it
Unnecessary.
at all. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because it's a science degree, and if he ever was to, of his own volition, wanting to go down the road of medicine, he could. That's all I'm saying. But this is, I mean, we didn't even talk about bees. You did bee farming this
Yeah.
summer too.
I did. That
Because
was
the
terrifying,
bees
though.
is a whole
Does honey
another thing.
kill-
Don't ever do that. It is so
Just eating
Why was
terrifying.
it
honey-
terrifying?
Because it's bees. It's
There's
like the
millions,
scariest
not
thing
millions,
ever.
So many.
But I was told that if you don't bother the bees, they don't bother you. Is that not
yeah, but you have
true,
to bother
but,
the
like-
bee to take the honey out. No.
To take the honey out, you hold a slab. I don't even know why we're talking about this, but you hold a slab with hundreds of bees on it, and they're on the honey that you're taking out. So it's, you can say you're not disturbing them, but when you're taking the honey from where they're literally like living, it's disturbing them. The way you
they
do
kill
it,
the bees
the way
when
you
you
do it actually is you have to set a fire and put like the beehive over the fire so that the smoke from the fire goes in the hive and puts them to sleep.
Wow.
Oh my God. Does it kill all the bees?
No, it
No, it
puts them to sleep.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
Wait,
or it
does
puts
this
them in
mean-
a sedative state so that they're calmed down,
And you can take the honey
and
out
you can
quickly.
take the honey out.
Because there is some sort of crisis with the bees and the availability of honey.
Well, yeah.
And also,
yeah.
going back to the American point about Americans helping the food industry, I agree that we can do a lot more. But just one interesting thing that we already do is recently they passed this bill so that farmers around the country now can get like money to continue with making their like products. I just think that's interesting.
Oh, subsidized.
Like
So,
organic
so
products or-
subsidizes.
So
So, like
subsidies-
dairy farmers, for example, will get paid to continue making the production of milk and selling it.
That's good.
That's good. But overall, I do think that it's a tragedy, though.
Yo, yeah, it's 100%.
But this, okay, so we already know all the problems with the food industry. Why don't we in this episode take a slightly positive spin and talk about 2 food habits that we believe have positively impacted each one of us? 2 everyday habits that are easy to execute that have impacted all of us, because that's something the audience can learn from and we can learn from them, because we would love to hear what you're doing with regard to food that is helping you, that's easy, and like let's share some positive food ideas, because the problem is real, right? The idea of food being corrupted, being expensive, the whole thing is real, but we are all trying to find solutions on our own. So why don't we share the solutions?
I can go first. I would say that as somebody who's really desperately tried for the past at least 6-7 years to be as plant-based as I possibly can, one thing that I do is I do start my day off with a vegetarian protein source, the yogurt has been really huge for me, and it sets my day off right. And it also means that at least one of my major protein sources has nothing to do with meat at all. And that has been really great to have on autopilot. It's something I've probably eaten every single day for the past year and a half, as evidenced by my family and roommates. It's wild. And then the second thing I would say is the thing that I said about like just avoiding the addictive meats. For example, I think that red meat is addictive. I don't know what it is about it. If you put a burger, if you put a steak, if you put like those things, why would you pick fish? Why? Why would anyone pick fish? There's no reason why you would pick salmon over a juicy burger with cheese and bacon and what? Nobody does that. So one thing that I do is like I limit myself. I don't eat burgers and stuff like that unless it's like a really special occasion, maybe once every few months now for me. And I just make that as like a non-negotiable with myself, and I end up eating a lot more fish, which I think a pescatarian diet has been shown to be a slightly more healthy, closer to plant-based diet. So
Okay, I'm next. I have two things. So my first thing is goodles. I love goodles.
and
What is
Bonza.
goodles? I don't know what goodles.
I'll explain it. It's protein mac and cheese. It tastes better than regular
It's
mac and
so
cheese,
good.
and it has 3 times as much protein. I love goodles.
And how does it show
Thank
in
you,
your app?
Tina Fey, for.
It's Tina Fey.
You said it was Tina Fey.
No,
suggested it
I think
to
it was
him.
Gal.
No,
Gadot.
I think she suggested it as Gal Gadot's brand to you or something.
I thought she like invested in it. Whatever. Thank you, whoever created that, for making them. My second thing is at school. After school, there's these protein chips that are so good.
What protein chip?
I don't know the brand. It's ranch flavored. They taste like Blue Ranch Doritos, but they have like 40 grams of protein. It just tastes really good. So
40 grams. Are you sure?
maybe like
Have you put
Maybe
it
in
through your
the
app?
whole bag, like
The
if
whole
it's a
bag,
large
yeah.
bag, maybe.
For me, I have to say it's one is boiled eggs. Having a boiled egg at the beginning of my meal is very awesome because it's clean. It doesn't have anything in it. It's easy to boil for 9 minutes, so it's somewhere between soft and hard boiled. Easy to peel and just eat it, right? And it's solid amount of protein coming out of at least the white part of it. I know you're not supposed to have the yolk, but I have the whole thing. And then at the end of my meal, the protein shake that I make, which is a plant-based. It's easy to make. I put a banana in it. I put peanut butter in it. I put some honey in it for taste. I always have it water-based because I think if you have it dairy, the minute you put milk in it, you'll find, especially as someone who's older as opposed to in your 20s, it'll make you very gassy and make you feel really weird. So, it's good to control as much dairy as you can. But even if it's water-based and you put some banana in it and you make it sort of satiating, it can carry you for a long time. It's several hundred calories, protein-based, that stays with you a long time.
I have 2 or like 3-ish major tips that have helped me. One, Chipotle. Chipotle is such a underrated fast chain restaurant because the ingredients they use are really good and you can decide exactly what you want in your meal. Like I like protein, so I get chicken or steak and then add some other stuff with it.
sometimes you double.
But sometimes you can double, but you also don't need to get those ingredients. Like there's other things they have they have beans,
They
they
have
have chicken.
beans.
They have
Are they not the
beans.
same as other fast food places?
No, because
No,
they
Chipotle's the
first of all,
best.
they cook
not
in front of you.
necessarily.
Everything
they have
they
a lot
do.
of seed oils.
Okay, I'm tired of your seed oils, bro.
Beer's on it though.
First of all, they cook in front of you, which I really like. Like I like the fact that you can see them actually cooking, and use it because I get scared sometimes when people grill meat and they just don't clean the grill. Because if you don't clean the grill, you're just putting it on disgusting material and oils. But when they're doing it in front of you, it kind of incentivizes them to make sure it's clean because we can see if you're not cleaning it. So I really like it. 2, I really, really like cereal. There are a lot of cereals that I think that like Raisin Bran Crunch is my favorite.
That's
Where it's like-
but Raisin Bran Crunch has so much sugar in it.
I'm sure it does, but not everything is gonna
You can
I feel
optimize,
like you guys,
and these are his
keep saying,
tips.
I want to make a point. You guys are all acting like sugar is the devil. There are meals that you're gonna have that have sugar in it. If you don't have sugar, you're just lying to yourself. Unless you're really I know you actually try not to have it and you eat a really healthy diet, but 99% of the people in America at least are gonna have sugar in their meals. So yes, some meals I eat and I work out a lot. Trust me, I do a lot of exercising. I will have sugar in my meals. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty about having
I also
sugar in a
think
couple of
I
meals.
do think that and this is my shout out to my short women. It is really hard to be healthy and fit and to stay thin as a 5 foot tall. And I know our audience is all sorts of people, but like I do think that men have a luxury that like a lot of women just don't have, and especially short people don't have. Like if I am off of like not eating healthy for a little bit of time, like everything really does show. Who was it, like J-Lo or somebody, like 5 foot tall, she's like 5 feet tall, she talks about it all the time. Like it's really a battle to stay thin when you are literally dealing with this much surface area. Like it's really challenging. So I don't know.
And
but-
in Bridget's case, I've seen you eat the cereal that you eat. You drink a whole bowl of milk with it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I put
Like
a- I
it's
put a lot
not
of milk
even
in it.
like
It's not just
you
cereal.
like drink like almost a whole cup of milk with it, just plain.
Yeah.
And what was the third thing, Bridget?
And
said?
third thing was just gonna be edamame. I genuinely edamame has
Yeah,
been
he
the
introduced
most
that to us. It's such a great
killer
And
find.
he doesn't put salt in it. It's just purely steamed and
But it
boiled.
comes with
just
salt.
steamed. No, it doesn't.
No, it
actually.
doesn't. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
you
steamed.
get it
and-
salted, but
No, you don't. It's just steamed. It's just boiled. You cook it. You let it rock. Let it rock. When you eat it, it's 26 grams of protein per bag, which is a really large amount. There's a lot of foods out there that aren't that much protein actually, and it's healthy. It's vegetarian.
I mean, which brings me to the point of salt. I mean, as an Indian man, and as we all know at this point, that Indian men in particular, are very prone to cardiovascular issues. Doesn't matter who they are and where they are from. And I think that's controlling salt. And people may be shocked to know that a man like me, or any male of my age, is not supposed to have more than 2 teaspoons of salt in a whole day. And literally one dish or one pizza, let's say, one slice of pizza has 6 teaspoons of salt.
well, that's
I don't
what
think that's true.
It is
2
true.
teaspoons.
Yeah.
No, Veer,
2
it is
teaspoons
true.
is like 2 pinches.
No,
2
you're
pinches.
not
That's
supposed
all.
to
You're
eat
not,
very much
you're not
salt.
supposed to
You're
have
not
that much
supposed to
salt.
eat
But that's one of the things about even red meat, for example, is red meat demands a lot of salt. It just does, which is why, for example, red meat inherently is not bad. If you cook it at home
With
and you
just
put
a little
very
bit of
little
oil,
bit
yeah.
of oil, it's a different experience than eating red meat outside. So I agree with you. It sounds like Bridge is saying, one thing that Bridge said that I think is just true is like, find things you can put on autopilot. Bridge eats edamame
Like every day.
every
Every
day.
day.
Dad eats the egg every day. I probably eat the yogurt almost every day. Like every one of us
You
has,
guys eat a bowl of broccoli almost.
we eat a
every day.
bowl of broccoli every day.
broccoli.
Like if you can
Steamed
find a few
broccoli.
things that you can just autopilot and make a part of your day-to-day routine.
It makes a very big difference.
It does make a big difference.
Which brings me to my hacks, because I need to find solutions on the go because
Yeah.
my life involves a lot of traveling. And one thing that almost every airport has is cheese sticks.
Yeah.
I usually, if I see a cheese stick somewhere, like a low-fat cheese stick, I'll buy a cheese stick and plain almonds, because somehow
How do
all
you
the
get
other
those?
nuts.
I've tried so
No,
hard.
all the other nuts are salted, but you can get natural
okay.
plain almonds. You can't get
Yeah.
cashews. You cannot get anything.
can't get
You cannot get pistachios.
I've gotten plain almonds too.
Which
But
is so
I-
weird. Why do these airports not have plain
because
nuts?
I don't know.
Because they're not as good.
No, because
they're
people
more
want them to eat them by the gallons and then buy the drink, and it's
Also,
like
if you salt makes you thirsty.
thirsty, and so you
Incentivizes
sell the
to buy
drinks,
more.
and then but the cheese stick and the almonds is a hack, and a slightly underripe banana, almost raw. I usually carry one almost raw banana with me wherever I go.
Why almost raw?
Because then it lasts for a day or two.
Yeah.
It's like my emergency stop. I try not to use it.
That's so
actually.
By the way,
But-
I'm the one who.
Yeah, you
came up
did.
with
You
that
did.
one.
Okay. I mean, we came up with it together, but okay.
But he's going to be a food
But-
technology engineer. He better do.
On his way to medicine. But
Honestly.
but you need a lot, and it is a thing. And I wanted to bring up another point on the vegetarian non-vegetarian thing, which is particular to the Indian diet, that I have learned from my friends who are not Indian but are very healthy. Indian diet, it kind of is a double whammy. One, it's a lot of vegetarian food that's not healthy, not necessarily healthy. Even home cooked. A lot of people will be like, as long as you make it. But if you're putting like spoons and spoons of oil and ghee and everything, whether you make it at home or not, it's a problem. But the other thing that's a problem with Indian food is that our taste palette is so, we are used to eating a thali. A thali, for those who don't know, is a plate with 10 different flavors on it.
Yeah.
So every meal is like the Last Supper. My friends who live a healthy life in America live a very simple life. Like their palate is extremely simplified. They eat one thing, it's nutritious, and then they're done with it. Whereas we grew up like, it has to be a
grown
little
up.
sweet. It has to be a little salty. It has to be a little sour. Like half my last 2 years of my life, all I've been trying to do is control my taste buds, because it's not the way I grew up, but that is a healthier way to live, and I acknowledge it. And I don't know if you guys have an
But having said that, that's not the life we have lived. Like the kids and
I know,
we eat
but
one thing.
Shalab, taste buds are so set when you're little,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's why when they were little, I went crazy trying to teach them. We went, you remember
I mean,
feeding
we
them?
didn't talk about sugary drinks. I think we don't ever.
We've never
none
had
of us has
sugary
ever
drinks,
had
and
a sugary-
my kids, 2 of my kids, eat a lot of oatmeal. Like we
Yeah.
went crazy. This one eats oatmeal every single day. We went crazy teaching them. Well, I did. When they were little, because these habits unfortunately are put in place when you're young. It's a lot harder to undo a bad habit than to get a good habit in place.
I mean, they are willing to put on a cigarette that this product will kill you.
Yeah.
I wonder why they would not put that on sugary drinks too. It's the same thing. It's going to kill you.
It's-
It's just
And
a
I
matter
think
of
maybe
time.
they one day will. I mean, they right now even tax those the big cups that can hold so much soda. They actually tax. But I think, yeah, I agree.
But this has been, we came up with a couple of hacks on the go. Let's do a rapid fire round for the first time. Rapid fire, 5 seconds. Don't put thought into it. What is your most favorite food to eat?
Omelette with vegetables and protein. Omelette with vegetables made in desi ghee.
Greek yogurt, walnuts, and dates.
No, you go next. I have to think.
Okay, if I could, I would eat a thin slice of pizza with lots of vegetables on it. Like lots. Like just pile the whole thing, a whole salad on top of it.
Okay. Like a homemade burger with bacon and cheese and ketchup.
Steak, medium.
Steak, media.
I like that.
And let us know what your favorite foods are too.
So this has been a very fun episode of food, vegetarianism, not vegetarianism. What are the tricks and tips you have for living healthy on the go at home? We would love to hear from you guys how you're doing it. Really, this is a problem that the Gargs are trying to solve. So your comments are very welcome. We're all going to be reading all your comments and thoughts. And as we end every episode with a round of good grades with Gargs, this episode too, each one of us Gargs will assign another person an A grade, the person who we think bought the winning move in today's episode. And then we're going to encourage you to give us who you think got us the A grade, got you the A grade today. So who wants to
I
go
can
Go
first?
first. Why do you always have to go first?
Okay, both of you are not going first. One of you two go first.
We didn't, let one of them go. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay, mine has to go to Bridge. I mean, the way he described his work as a farmer, I thought was very, very intelligent and endearing. I'm so proud of you for you having done that work, because it's not a typical Indian boy thing to do. And I don't know why. And you worked as a farmer and you learned so many things, and now you're pursuing a degree in it. It's awesome. Really proud of you.
I was gonna give my A grade to Bridge too for his insight into what actually happens when the food is made, right? Why are strawberries like $7, and why do they always taste sweet, and why can we have them year round? I mean, those are questions that I feel like we do need to think about. And I think it coincides with Veer's point earlier about how vegetarianism is expensive, and how, plant-based pasta is just 3 times as expensive as regular pasta. Not everybody can afford that. One thing that I also want to say that mom brought up really toward the end is people have this misinterpretation, especially young people, and people have been saying this since I was like 14, that, oh, you're 14, like don't worry about your habits right now. It doesn't matter that that you don't need to eat healthy right now. You don't need to work out right now. Like, you're 14. I wish people just stop saying that. Why not get the habits in when you're younger? That's what mom was saying earlier, is like, if you learn to eat healthy and you learn to think about these things earlier in life, you're just setting yourself up for success later, and to not have to like work so hard to build these habits as a 30-year-old. Like, I can't tell you how many times in middle school girls would tell me, Zoya, why are you eating salads at lunch with chicken and being so aggressive? I wanted to learn, right? When you learn early, you learn throughout. So for any young people that are watching this and like people keep telling you, why are you even thinking about these questions? I think it's great, and you should start as early as you want.
Either one of you want to go next?
I'm still thinking.
Okay. I'm gonna give my A grade to Veer, because I don't understand how you have such a high nutritional maturity, because when I was your age, I was not eating anything because of healthiness or because of what would be a good habit for later. For me, it was just whatever I thought was amazing to eat. I ate pasta, I ate vanilla ice cream like as much as I could without mom finding out. I ate chocolate, I ate cookies. I just ate everything that I just enjoyed to eat as much as possible. And that was pretty much, I just don't know how you are so much more aware.
I mean, most likely because he sees you and Didi
Yeah, probably sees you.
and me.
Oh, right.
Okay, I'm giving my A grade to mom because she funds all of our
Yeah.
vegetables and fruits, which we, as she said, probably the craziest credit card bill. You'd probably think we're feeding a village if you saw the bill. But thank you for feeding us.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
so true.
And it is actually dad's money mostly, but okay. I would give my A grade on the issue of food generally to Shalab.
Yeah.
Because in our family, between the two of us, he is the one with the very better, consistent habits. He is the one who has healthier habits across the board, is very simplified his regime and regimen to the mantra that actually today all medical professionals are saying, which is eat high quality things, eat very less food overall, and mostly fruits and vegetables. This is what every doctor and nutritionist today is saying. And these are things that you've been living with ever since I knew you. And we fought about it a lot because I was convinced that his mother taught him wrong, but she didn't. And they figured it out much before I did. And so my A grade goes to Shalab. And this has been a really big episode for us because we fight about food issues a lot. We spend crazy amounts of money, as I'm sure you guys do. So we really want to hear from you guys what you're doing to fix this in your lives. And if anything that we said helped you today. So thank you so much. And everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.